All right, this is Dan Meehan for Fight News Australia, and today we're doing a quick follow-up with the newest entrant into the UFC win column. It's Josh Kuya, who was successful in his fight against Sha Yilan at UFC Fight versus Garbrandt just a week or so ago. Yeah, Josh, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Besides this 2 week quarantine, I'm doing really well.
That's good to hear. Thanks for taking some time out of your PlayStation schedule to talk to us.
Yeah.
So, how's hotel quarantine been treating you?
Well, to be honest, it's good that I've got my own hotel room. Last time we were all cramped together in one small hotel room. Three of us were crammed in a small hotel room. But yeah, it's good to have my own room, my own space. But it is kind of shit that I don't get to train with the boys, so it's a bit hard with that.
Well, speaking of training, last time we spoke, you mentioned you were going to try and keep up a bit of a fitness regime while you were in quarantine. Did that end up coming to fruition, or has
Yeah.
it just been PlayStation and beers?
Uh, No, no, no. I've been training. Just it hasn't been as what is the word? As in as intense as I expected it to be. It's been a lot more chilled workouts instead of me like obviously smashing out rounds and rounds of pads or doing rounds and rounds of rolling. So yeah, it's been a lot less intense, but I've still
Yeah,
been training. So it's something to kill the time.
that's good. At least you got something in. Now, as mentioned off the top, you were successful in your fight, winning by decision over Sha Yilan. You talk
Yep.
about the fight and what that win meant to you.
Man, it's huge. It means a lot because the last win that I had was back in 2019, February of 2019. So it's been a long time since I've had my hand raised, and obviously coming off a loss and then coming off a draw, and then finally getting that win now in the UFC. Finally, you know, for myself, it finally like kind of cements it in my head that I do belong fighting in the UFC. So yeah, it's a massive thing for me, confidence wise. But yeah, I don't want to just be one of those fighters that gets to the UFC, loses, and then gets kicked from the UFC, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna be calling myself a UFC fighter. I don't want to be one of those people. So I want to be somebody that actually thrives and wins fights in the UFC. So and then I can call myself a proper UFC fighter.
Absolutely, and so the fight itself was it was a bit of a grind in the end. What did you sort of take away from the fight? Like what sort of lessons I guess will you bring to the gym with you next time you're back in training?
The biggest thing was it wasn't so much of a grind. I feel like it was to be honest, the fight seemed a lot easier than what I expected. I felt I was a bit too cautious this fight. I felt like I could have pushed the pace a bit more. But I feel like, yeah, I just went down the safer route of just picking my shots and just, yeah, just picking my shots and not overcommitting too much to where the point where I would overcommit and might get caught. So I think I've like only took like one shot that I could remember, one or two shots that I can actually remember in the fight where he actually got me. So considering 15 minutes and he only tagged me twice hard, I feel that's a pretty, high success rate. So, um, but yeah, it wasn't so much of a grind. But I feel like the biggest lesson I learned from that was as soon as I get on that cage wall, is that I gotta start to constantly start moving. I can't just sit there and kind of hope the ref is gonna stop and separate us or anything. So I think I've got to have a bit more urgency, just as I have urgency of when I get taken down to pop back up, but more so urgency to also get my back off the cage. So
Do you feel like now that you've sort of got a win under your belt, maybe the sort of relief and the confidence that comes from that will sort of help you sort of rectify some of those little things next time
yeah,
out?
for sure, for sure. Like for sure, I feel real comfortable already. Like I started to sort of find my groove. Like after that first round, I sort of like shook out the nerves, and then it just felt just like a hard sparring session where I didn't have to pull my punches, and I felt nice and relaxed in there. Like I said, I feel like I could have pushed the pace more. Like there was definitely a lot left in the tank after the fight, but I was a bit too cautious. I feel like I could have just let it go a little bit more. And I feel like if I did, I would have got that finish. But I think just because of the whole in the moment, sort of like cautious, don't want to lose again, pick my shots. That was it.
Yeah. And looks like you went on a fair bender after the fight there. I saw a video on social media of you having a drink out the front of the UFC PI, and looked like the early hours of the morning, perhaps. Obviously, what happens on tour stays on tour, but looks like you had some fun afterwards.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't nothing serious. That was actually directly right after the fight. We actually had like a specific driver for us that would drive us from the UFC bubble to the UFC PI, and she's actually a pretty cool chick. Her name's Fran, and she said to me after the fight, we'd jump in the limo and I'd have wine ready for you. So she backed up on that. So right after finished all the media after the fight, walked outside, she was standing there with a bottle of champagne and was waiting for me. So yeah, that was a pretty cool experience to sort of walk right out after doing the fight, and then going outside, walking to our car, and then she had everything set up for us. So it was a pretty cool experience.
Sounds like it's well deserved as well. Now, there's been some talk of maybe a matchup on the Volkanovski Ortega undercard. I'm told. Is that sort of something that's of interest to you?
That's a massive interest for me. I feel like it'd be good to sort of get on a big Australian card. One of our champions to be on one of those cards, and hopefully get a lot of other Anzacs on the same card. So yeah, hopefully I do get on that Volkanovski Ortega card.
Yep. And have you got any sort of opponents in mind, or any sort of anyone you've got your eye on?
And every interview I keep saying the same name. It's Chase Hooper. I want that fight. I feel like look, don't get me wrong. I think he's a great fighter. He's a very good jiu-jitsu. But I don't know why he's getting all this hype. I just don't think he's that good to be deserving of all the hype that he's getting. I feel like every single fight he's getting battered, and then just somehow he pulls the rabbit out of the hat and gets this submission. So, good on him, but I just don't think he's at that level. And he's got a really big following. He's got a lot of hype around him, and I think it'd be perfect for me to beat him up and steal that hype.
Definitely. And did sort of Alexander Volkanovski, your sort of teammate, have some advice for you after your fight?
No, he was just happy. To be honest, no, yeah, he was just happy that I finally got the job done. He was just that was it. Just typically he was there, so it was him supporting was just enough for me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Josh, before I let you go, have you got anyone you want to shout out? Sponsors, I'll always hand over at the end.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank CMBT. They've actually made my Josh Kuya shirt. So thank you to CMBT. Thank you to Athletes Nutrition, who always keep me fueled up. Crush Organics, Engage, BF 9 to 5. All my training partners, Eager MMA, they already know what it is. So, yeah, thanks to everybody.
Brilliant. Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming back on, and all the best with the rest of hotel quarantine.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Dan.